Unity. My PM asks for unity. It's a lovely request, but who the hell he trying to fool? When members of the UNC are shown Trinbagonians blatantly that their mission in life is simply divide and rule. Cause when I look around Trinbago, I just can't see how many people could live in unity when there's segregation caused by racialism. So long as we still have people who pushing hate, the little money they have make them feel they're great, and they feel Africans are inferior. You can't have unity, you'll get civil war. Cause if a Hindu priest could say bluntly, time that Hindus have their own bank, it means that Africans don't have money. Them alone could pull all the rank. The little daughter could date a Chinese, a Syrian or a white man. But if she ever dates an African, he will never have grandchildren. They say that the PNM government had a plan to doughlarize the land. So they built the schools in a way to force Indian children to sit next to African. I have to see Satma Raj in a dashiki for I to believe that they really want unity. The Indians and Africans living in this land under same circumstance was oppressed by the white man. But they volunteer while we was captured, sold and brought here. We were considered as slaves, but history say they were indentured. But through it all, we still stick together in sun and rain. On the plantation where we cut the cane, it didn't have no party. It was love and harmony. But politicians have we brains all inflated. They keep fanning the flames of hatred long before it had a UNC. You and I was living in unity. But now they're talking about ethnic cleansing. They say we must stick to we own kind. But the old people, they have a saying that time is longer than twine. Africans supports Indians religiously. Anything they have, we right there. For when they celebrate Eid and Diwali, we build Jose and Lydia. We children just go to the prayers and eat parasad, regardless how big or small. But if a Baptist have a Thanksgiving on the block, they won't send their children at all. Until I keep Shango feast and they come by me, then I go believe they're serious about unity.
Here's a brand new, better way to sell your house. So if you're thinking about selling anywhere in or around Phoenix, including the East Valley area,
Unity. My PM asks for unity. It's just soul and brought here. We were considered as slaves, but history say they were indentured. But through it all, we still stick together in sun and rain. On the plantation where we cut the cane, it didn't have no party. Was love and harmony. But politicians have we brains all inflated. They keep fanning the flames of hatred. Long before it had a UNC, you and I was living in unity. But now they're talking about ethnic cleansing. They say we must stick to we own kind. But the old people, they have a saying that time is longer than twine. Africans supports Indians religiously. Anything they have, we right there. For when they celebrate Eid and Diwali, we build Jose and Lydia. We children just go to the prayers and eat parasad, regardless how big or small. But if a Baptist have a Thanksgiving on the block, they won't send the children at all until I keep.
Mr. Watts, he's armed himself. Shots, watch it, tear gas. Live rounds, also I can see that.
That's the Quindon! The man is a boxer, man. I like him putting a boxer, man, to do that.
But since Mike wasn't there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me now.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to you.
Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger heads come up to talk to my family. Right? And that's bad. If you didn't do a protest, you want to see nobody for justice. I'm not holding back nothing. I'm not holding back nothing. I just need justice of my family.
Good evening and welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. It's a Thursday evening. Please share the link. I share the live. Let everyone know that we are here. We're a little bit slow tonight in sharing. So please hit that share button and share the live. Let everyone know that we are here. Wherever you're joining us from, whether you're joining us from inside Guyana or outside of Guyana, please, you're welcome to our program. It's Thursday evening. We have Leonard Craig, who is going to be here shortly, and we are going to be talking about what we have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. So please hit the share button. Please share the link. Please share the link and let everyone know that we are on Politics 101. It's Thursday night. It's almost the end of the week, but we are here. Please share the link. We will get going in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, let's listen to Sugar Aloes, one of the sweet voices of Calypso music on National Unity.
When members of the UNC have shown trained Begonians blatantly that their mission in life is simply divide and rule. Cause when I look around Trinbago, I just can't see how many people could live in unity when there's segregation caused by racialism. So long as we still have people who pushing hate, the little money they have make them feel they're great, and they feel Africans are inferior. You can't have unity, you'll have civil war. Cause if a Hindu priest could say bluntly, time that Hindus have their own bank, it means that Africans don't have money. Them alone could pull all the rank. The little daughter could date a Chinese, a Syrian or a white man. But if she ever dates an African, he will never have grandchildren. He said that the PNM government had a plan to doughlarize the land. So they build the schools in a way to force Indian children to sit next to Africans. I have to see Satmaraj and Adashiki for I to believe that they're serious about unity. The Indians and Africans living in this land under same circumstance was oppressed by the white man. But they volunteer while we were captured, sold and brought here. We were considered as slaves, but history said they were indentured. Yet through it all, we still stick together in sun and rain. On the plantation where we cut the cane, it didn't have no party. Was love and harmony. But politicians have we brains all inflated. They keep fanning the flames of hatred long before it had a UNC. You and I was living in unity. But now they talking about ethnic cleansing. They say we must stick to we own kind. But the old people, they have a saying that time is longer than twine. African supports Indians religiously. Anything they have, we right there. For when they celebrate Eid and Diwali, we build Jose and Lydia. We children does go to the prayers and eat parasad, regardless how big or small. But if a Baptist have a Thanksgiving on the block, they don't send the children at all. When I keep Shango feast and they come by me, then I go believe they're ready for unity. Some Calypsonians today are being used by some Indians, and me afraid to call name. I'm talking about Brother Marvin. For a few penny, he desecrate African history. Then try to mama guy we saying he promoting unity. He proclaimed to be so proud to be part seed of India. He big up his grandma and pa, but I was ignorant to claim African descendant. Big shortly contest, I prove him to be an ass. When the judges said he came to last, all the love they love Ija Haji Bai, he still couldn't defeat Sonny Man nor Ricky Jai. But in the Dimashra competition, they found that Brother Marvin got robbed. They never see Crow as the champion. The major didn't do a good job. So Satmaraj invite Marvin down central, put a gallan around his neck, then told the children that was their monarch. But no motor car and no check. He then instruct the children not to listen. Crow, not this butcher from Port of Spain. I hear he translate 2 songs for Charlene Boudram like he hate Calypso again. Until I hear soca playing on Sangi Daily, then I go believe they're ready for unity. I mean, hear this. When you want unity, you have to treat each one equally. Be it African, Syrian, white man or Chinese, cosmopolitan is the status of this twin island. So why the hell sat Maraj washing him out on African? I think it's time someone put this big belly man in his place. Cause we all belong to the human race in the eyes of the Creator. No one is greater. So Mr. Pandey, it's time that you play your hand and make Satmaraj to understand. If it wasn't for 2 jackass African, you would have never be Prime Minister of this land. So when Satmaraj preaching racialism, he must remember Pam and Robbie. Think about John Humphrey and Kwaitung. They are part of the UNC. So if an African and an Indian join the bonds of matrimony, there shouldn't be no discrimination. That's an example of unity. Years ago, when an Indian girl reached 12 or 13, they will find she a husband. But it's not so nowadays. Them girls say it pays to run away with an African. If Satmaraj gets some water from Palm or Daphne, he might understand the sweetness of unity.
Sugar Aloes, Michael Osuna, doing it as they do it in Trinidad and Tobago. Political Kaiso, national unity. Good evening to all of you. Please share the link. We are on here. Brother Leonard Craig is on here tonight. And as we say, what is this all about? We're going to be talking about that. Wherever you're joining us from, whether you are joining us from in Guyana or out of Guyana, welcome to Politics 101. It's where it's happening at this time of the evening night. For those of you who are in Europe and those of you who are where I am on the west coast of North America, it's afternoon. It's afternoon. We're going to have, as usual, quite a show here tonight. So please make sure you share the link. It's Thursday evening, and we are doing it as we do it here. Education, memory, historical memory. Our ideology here is an intersection of race, class, nationalism. We don't come from one side of the fence. Critical analysis. That is why when black people do wrong, we say you're wrong. When black people are under attack, we say we defend you. Critical analysis. That's why this African goes to sleep at night knowing that when an African government behaves badly, he said, take me to jail. Defend it. That Africans can belong to parties other than the PNC today is because people like me fight for it. That Indians can belong to parties other than the PPP is because people like me fight for it. When Dr. Jagan told the WPA in the 70s, don't organize in the Indian community, we fought to go into the Indian community and organize. As I tell you all on this program, almost every night, I don't care which party, whoever want to go and belong to the party, that's the business. That's the business. I never belonged to the traditional Black Party, but that did not mean that I would disown my Blackness. Good evening to you and welcome to Politics 101. As usual, here we remind ourselves of what our history is.
This was a scene at KNV Moko Arcade today as the Ministry of Housing, accompanied by members of the Riot Squad of the Guyana Police Force, moved to demolish the structures occupied by squatters who failed to accept the compensation offered by the government. The Housing Ministry said the land on which the persons are on form part of the construction of the Eccles to Great Diamond Highway. Shots were fired by the police and persons were arrested, while angry residents threw bricks, bottles, and flammable objects at the police. At one point, the excavator caught fire.
What did they do? Like, me want to talk no more. It does everything damaged. Them telling me for coming one by one. Them saying that we house ward. In these hard times, when you can pay 6 million or 5 million or 2 million for these things they know, then what's expensive? Nails expensive, board expensive, everything gone high. We bed broke up. Everything broke up. Well, I sleep. I need funny. Then the rain wet me up. If I take out the road, I'm a homeless girl now. Now I'm a homeless girl.
And this is totally wrong with the people doing. This is totally wrong. These people need to give me justice. 20-something years now we family live over here, boss. Actually 30 years now. Where we going?
The area was surrounded by the police and housing officials who were executing the exercise. They first started by removing the bridge and then this house and business place. The owner was standing her ground against the demolition when she was arrested and dragged through the mud by the police. For several minutes, she and the police wrestled until she decided to go. Moments later, her house came crashing down. The operator did not stop there. He destroyed all the beverages and other items the woman had for sale. Some were covered by the debris. By this time, some squatters started to remove their household, livestock, and other items. Opposition leader Orby Norton arrived on the scene and tried to reason with the police and the housing officials.
Why can't they meet in a civilized way?
Things got heated as the exercise continued, with residents pelting the police, who returned fire. Opposition MP Roysdale Ford, Coretta MacDonald, and other MPs were on hand to see the destruction.
What we see happening here is transgression to the max, oppression to the max. And I'm saying people will have to stand up at some point for their rights because we cannot allow history to keep repeating itself.
There's more than just a possibility. I believe that there's a high probability that legal proceedings will have to be instituted by the people who would have been suffering, by the families who have been suffering this sort of demolition and complete destruction to the property. And it's just simply beyond that level. I believe that serious questions have been raised and we will examine them. We're in the process of gathering a number of pieces of information and documents that go towards the legal ownership of this land as to who actually owns it, whether this is in fact land for which the government, even if they want to build a road, it should be subject to the constitution, should be subject to the payment of compensation to persons who are the owners of this land. So we are currently in the process of examining those issues, and we will definitely be instituting proceedings if it
Mr. Watts, he is armed himself. Shots. Shots. Watch it. Tear gas. Live rounds. Also, I can see that.
Justice for Quindon! The man is a boxer, man. I like him putting the boxer, man, to do that.
But since my cousin there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me now.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to
Right? Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger heads come up to talk to my family. Right? And that's bad. If we didn't do a protest, we want to see nobody for justice. I'm not holding back nothing. I'm not holding back nothing. I just need justice for my family.
I get visitors all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you all have visitors.
This is Joker. Who is that Joker? That piece of plum. They know who to deal with, you know.
Good evening again, and welcome to Politics 101. We, of course, remind ourselves every night of our current history, and we remind ourselves of the country we live in. We remind ourselves that we are rational people, that we are not people of outbursts and emotional this and those, and that we are rational people. We wrote dissertations, we have PhDs too. We send our children to school so that they can speak for us. We are not people who have lost our marbles. We have retained our marbles 400 years after slavery, for another 150 years of colonialism. And we are here to tell the tales. We weep with our own eyes. We fight with our own hands. And we speak with our own voice. We may be on the fringes, but the fringe sometimes is a lethal fringe. For the last 3 weeks, a fringe has driven the conversation in Guyana. A fringe, this fringe has driven, must be a powerful fringe. Anyhow, it's not my night tonight. My brother Leonard Craig is here tonight. Leno is a former member of the AFC, a third party. I fight for the rights of people to belong to parties other than the one of their ethnic group. Leno is a beneficiary of my struggle. And, he has now made some political choice, and I fought for his right to make that choice. And when I made my intervention, which has been called outbursts, lewd, profanity, and all kinds of things. When I made my thing, I called his name. And it's only right that he comes on to my program and speak his truth. Our brother James was on. James is a friend of mine, as he said when he was on. And I acknowledge James Bond is a young friend of mine. Leno is I would say a friend. We are not as close as James and I are, but I have known Leno a long time. And is somebody, as I said on this program, I do not believe Leno knowingly will go and catch his own people and sell them into bondage. I don't believe knowingly. But if you go and you mix up yourself with crab in crab dance, your skin gonna get mud, and that's where I come from. But anyhow, let's bring on Brother Leonard Craig. Brother Leonard, good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
How are you?
Not bad at all.
Brother Leonard, you may not know, but there was a time, the party that I belong to, the WPA, you lose your job if you belong to that party,
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Then you lose your job, you lose your life. Some people lost their life for belonging to the party that I belong to. All right. You may not know that Dr. Jagan of the PPP, the party to which you're attached now, said to the WPA, do not go into Indian areas, stay in black areas and organize there. We said no, everyone has a right to go into every party has a right to go into any community and organize. And so that is the history that I come from. And you may not know, because you may not be a regular view of this program. Almost every night I say to people here, you have a right to belong to whichever party you want to, because I enjoy that right. And it's only fair that other people enjoy that right. So, Brother Leno, when I saw you fall into the trap of believing that my intervention a couple of weeks ago was about abusing people who want to go and join the PPP, I smiled, because I said, here is it. You read the Chronicle, arrive at conclusions, rather than going back and listen to what I said, listen to the context in which I said. You're a very intelligent chap. Let me tell you something about me. In 1978, I walked off the streets into Freedom House. I went to Gail Teixeira. I said, in the village, they call me a little actor. I know about drama. I understand that you all have a drama group here called Workers Stage. You say yes. I said, I want to join Workers Stage. It was me, my brother who's still alive today, Oswald McGarriel, who went on to become a revered school teacher, and a young drummer from my village named Busty. The three of us walking. We said, listen, we are black people. We want to join this Indian drama group because we want to go into Indian areas in an Indian party to show that Africans and Indians could work together. And I was a member of the Workers' Stage for 2 years. I went to the Indian communities with the PPP and did drama. It was my right. And I exercised that right. One of my first job, Leno, was as a stringer for the Mirror newspaper. Went to Mr. Jagan and said, I can write, I think. Can you employ me? She employed me as a stringer. I covered sports and culture and so forth, and I was paid 10 cents per line, I remember, back in 1978. My relationship with the PPP was there before you. Well, at that time, you might have been in diapers, right? I make all of those points to say, I will die for the right of a citizen to belong to any party he or she wants to belong to, or for any party to go anywhere and organize. What I will not die for is for individuals crossing over, whether you go from PPP to PNC or PNC to PPP or WPA to PPP or PNC. Is you go over and you disabuse yourself of your cultural identity. You start to talk down to your people, tell them how they're lazy, they don't work hard, they're stupid, and so on. I didn't fight for that right. I also didn't fight for the right for the vote, for you to go and say, here are $2 million, give me your vote. My foreparents, your foreparents, All of us in Guyana fought for the right to vote. The vote is sacred. The vote should not be part of the marketplace. It's sacred. And I want to say that those things, I want to say one more thing, my brother, before I bring you in. I am a product of my generation. My politics are shaped by class. I consider myself a Marxist. Black nationalism, I consider myself a black nationalist. Caribbean nationalism, I consider myself a Caribbeanist. My political philosophy is driven by a sense of social justice, regardless of race. And so my generation were not straight-laced. My generation saw the world at intersections. There are times when we emphasize race. There are other times we emphasize class. There are other times we emphasize nation. I'm one of the leading voices in Guyana of my generation for power sharing, which is the coming together of all the parties in Guyana, all the races in Guyana, to own and govern their country. I spent the first 2 decades of my life fighting not for African cause, for Indian cause. I went to jail for 39 months, not for an African cause, for the cause of justice at a time when Indians were saying the government of the day was oppressing them. I didn't ask Indians if you're right or you're wrong. I put myself out there. I went to African people and said, our government is doing wrong. All right? I risked my life among them. When in 2002, 2006, when black men were put in my village and they were killing Indians because they were Indians. Iyusi Kwayana and Daye and myself were 3 African people who used Andaye's formulation, not in my name. Not in my name. I risked my life. The gunmen hold me up one night at Buxton Line Top and said, we are told that you're against the cause, but we know you and we know where you stand, so we will not harm you. I took a stand because I felt it was wrong for my people to be killing Indians because they're Indians. Today, I notice that I'm called the biggest racist because I'm now standing up for black people. You know, I want to give you my history, Leno, because you may not be au fait with it, right? You describe me as a fringe. I want to say this is one of the most powerful fringes Guyana's produced. I am driving the national debate on a salient issue for the last 3 years. I have to blow my horn here tonight because you quite rightly responded to my intervention, but I felt that you responded to a narrative that was created and not to the narrative that I was representing. All right? And so let's talk about that tonight. Now that you've heard my story, let's begin to talk. When you heard of my use of a term, a Trinidadian term, I didn't coin it. I didn't coin it. A Trinidadian term, which is similar to a term that we use here in Guyana. We use it every day. House slave and soup drinker and nimikaran and katahar. Every day we use those terms. All right? Sometimes we refer to body parts. All you ask. Your leader, your former leader, all you ask. All right? All right? Bottom and ass. I think, Leno, let me read what you said and give you a chance to respond. You said late last week, I thought I was last week I was telephoned. I was teleported into the realm of the paranormal when directed by a friend to Dr. David Hines' blog, Politics 101. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Apart from being vulgar, Hines' hate-ridden monologue was laced with racial invectives and the racist epithets for African Guyanese who dare to join or associate with the PNC. Leno, those are your words. Talk to me.
Doc, as you have outlined just now, we know each other for quite some time. I think a few years before 2015. Right. 2015 to now is already 10 years. 10 years. So I think we are familiar with each other for close to 12, 13 years, thereabout, something like that. And I was introduced to you by Freddie Kissoon. And we have had several gaffes, lunch, talk about politics, all kinds of things. And I'm aware of your struggles. However, the particular monologue to which you refer belies some of your own struggles, in my opinion. You are claiming you fought for the right for people to associate with whichever party they want to. But yet, you called me out by name, as some people would say, by my full government name, and you associate me with all kinds of attached titles. You're claiming it's not words of your own, and that doesn't matter. You imported the term and you attach them to me.
Yes.
And as I said, that belies a lot of what you struggled for in the term.
The term, right? The term. So I said lick bottom, and that belies everything that I said in the past. No?
By attaching it to me because of my choice.
No. After all that I said, you're still holding on to that narrative. I don't care about your choice, Leno. I never cared.
No. So, Doc, hold on.
Yeah.
I understand it's your show, but I remain silent, and you
yes.
did you said your thing. Yeah. At least let me get through.
All right.
Some of what I want to say, and then we will interact.
Yes.
Right. So I am saying that anybody, any normal person listening to what you have said will come away from that knowing that you have attached the title to me largely because of my association. Then you said that I should not comment negatively on the leadership disposition of African leaders. Now, when we indicated that I'll be on your program, you said perhaps we should discuss where, what was the term? Where does something ends and racism begin? Where does interrogating race ends and racism begins?
Yes.
And I believe that a lot of what you have said is not just bordering on racism. And let me explain. What you are saying, that if I am African, regardless of who I associate with, I do not have the right, or I have not inherited that right, or I have not worked for that right, I have not struggled for the right to criticize African leaders. And you are actually saying that leaders who are African and represent African interests, I shouldn't criticize them, but I must run down East Indians. And once you drift from that paradigm of equality, if I could criticize East Indian leaders, I must be able to criticize African leaders in quite the same way. And when you shift from that paradigm, I believe you're dabbling in racism, because you're saying to me, you criticize people based on the color of their skin. Then you're saying with the same breath that I have a right to associate. And that is what politicians do, Doc. That is what, when you're in a political party, in a political organization, you criticize the people who are opposed to you in earnest. You are not going out there to attack a man because he's Indian, or attack a man because he is black, or not attack him because he belongs to a certain party that and represent or claim to represent people that look a certain way. And I'm saying, when you veer off that lane, you are dabbling in racism. Further, one last thing, and then we will interact. Your presentation is suggesting that I have said or I have acted as though I am no longer black and I'm claiming some other identity. You are also assuming that as long as I associate with the PPP, I lose my blackness, I lose my consciousness, I lose my mind and my capacity to think, and my capacity to make interventions on behalf of African Guyanese. Why do you want to believe that that is what I'm about, or that is what my politics is about? Why don't you believe, or don't you think that I am probably in some ways the conscience for blacks inside of the PPP? Now, I don't know if you're a Bible believing man now, but I'm sure sometime in your growing up, you would have interacted with Christianity and biblical principles. And there's one thing in the Bible where one lesson in the Bible that speaks of not all of us can be a head, a hand, an eye, but all of us have a function. I can't be as radical. I may not be as radical as you are and willing to go to jail and all of that, but it doesn't mean that in my quiet political sojourn, I don't have a function. I might be in the fingers, but without the fingers, you can't scratch, Doc. But I might not be a pair of feet that tramples, or a pair or an entire hand that boxes. But your compartmentalization of who I should be and the politics I should practice is narrow, and as I said, dabbled in racism. That is my honest belief.
All right, Leno, but you still are holding on to your constructed narrative, which is far outside of what I Did you listen to the program?
The entire program, sir.
Yeah, and you're still convinced that that program was speaking to the phenomenon of people Africans who leave parties of the opposition gone to the PPP. You still believe that that was my objective?
I understand what your objective is, but there is something that is called framing.
Yes.
And the framing of what you're trying to say has defeated the message, and people will come away missing the point of your framing of your message because of how you framed it, and it is framed and cloaked, and that is what I'm saying to you tonight. It is framed and cloaked in deep racial boiling waters.
Leno, you used the term earlier, any person, any thinking person, and then you say people will come away.
Yeah, any right-thinking person.
Right thinking. You know, the majority of African Guyanese are done with me. So, according to your formulation,
and by
hold
what measure? By what measure?
They express it on social media. They express it there. They're expressing it right now there. You are saying that they're not right-thinking people. Leno, that is racism. You are essentializing the thought process of an entire ethnic group. They're not right-thinking. They will come away with this. And that is the dangerous waters people get into when they cross the ethnic divide. My brother James came here and he said black people don't work hard enough. To his credit, when he catches himself, he apologized at the end of the program. But that is what happens. Leno, I study this thing. I teach it. When one crosses the ethnic divide, one feels that one have to be more of the ethnic group that you cross over to than those people on that group. And it's unconscious most of the time. It's not a conscious thing. I don't think you are consciously saying that the majority of African people who stand with me in what I said are unthinking people. I know you don't believe that. I know you don't believe that. But your rhetoric.
Now hold for me a second.
Yes.
What you have just done
is
unfair to what I've said.
Yes.
I have not said that. I have not phrased anything that way. All I'm saying is I am not stupid. We have had many conversations and you know that.
Of course.
And I understand.
Yes.
I am saying to you, I understand the trajectory of your crusade. But again, I am saying, I'm not saying that whoever chooses to follow you are dense and unable to think and all of that. That is not what I'm saying. All I am saying is anybody who listens to you would understand that you misframed what you wanted to say. And I'm telling you this, Doc, as long as you are framing an issue and it have to boil down to personal descriptives and name calling, is an indication, is indicative that you are heading in some wrong direction. You must be able to critically analyze people based on points of their practice of politics without getting down to personal derogatory descriptives, and as long as you end up there, you are in troubled, wrong waters. And I'm saying to you that you went too far in your crusade to do that.
So you think my intervention was personal?
It has to be personal because
no,
you
it was
referred
not.
to me.
It was not.
Hold on. Again, I'm saying, and here is where you went wrong.
I use you as an example. I use you as a particular example of the general. You're a schoolboy, you know that.
But no. But that was the moment. That is where I'm saying to you all the time. You have a mission. That is your mission, not mine. And when you choose to frame it the way you did, you veered off the path. You can't ascribe those things, names and titles and all of that to people and their activism. Now, it has to be personal because the way how you said it, and there is something about people's demeanor when they speak. And you said to me, again, I say, some people on the road like to say, oh, your full government name. You refer to me by my full government name, and you said, Leonard Craig, I see you, I know you. And if that is not personal, what is?
You know, I can understand that you take it personal. Don't make it personal. You know better than that.
No,
if you know better than that. Anyhow, let's move on. Yeah.
No. I have to take it personal. Yeah. But if I took it retributively personal, I would not be on your show.
All right.
There's a difference.
Yeah, Leno, racism is a personal. Is it a personal construct? Race is a personal construct. You say my race is epithets and so on. Race is a personal construct, or a collective construct. You said that.
No. For me, it's personal. No. For me, it's personal.
Race is personal.
Both personal and collective.
You would fail my class on race. Race is not a personal construct. Prejudice is personal. Race is not personal. You will fail any class on race.
No. Well, that is for you. That is for you and your academics. For me, and my person.
You're an academic.
When I look in the mirror, Dr. Hines, when I look in the mirror, I see race. I see a black man. I see, and that is who I am. So I take that personally.
Yeah, but you are black insofar as you are identified with people who share a phenotype and who share a view. You are identified as black. There are people who look in the mirror, they're white. One of my students told me today, she looked white. She said, Doc, I am mixed. My father is black, my mother is white, but I am black. When you look in the mirror, you don't always see black because there is phenotypical black. There is conscious black and so on.
Yourself. No, that is what makes it personal.
Race is not a personal or individual construct. Anyhow, let's move on. You talk about racism and you call me a racist and so on. Does racism, can black people being critical of black people, how does that amount to racism? What definition of racism are you using? I know the term for that. I know the term when blacks are critical of each other. It's not racism. But anyhow, I'm waiting for you. Your answer.
Here it is.
Yes.
I'm saying to you, I understand where you're getting at. But I'm not going into that trap that you're pulling me into. I am saying to you that I consider myself to be a politician.
Right.
And politicians have got to belong to a political party.
Yes.
And you belong to a political party you've got to oppose those in other parties with whom you do not have direct relationship or direct ideology.
Yes.
On things. Ideology doesn't have to cover everything. All right. There are some things you agree on, some things you don't agree on, some things that are ideological and stuff like that. You have strong ideological views, far more than I do or I would ever do. But it does not mean that my views or my activism must be specifically directed because of a particular party that shares majority support from a particular group. If the party messes up and I am a politician, I comment on it negatively or otherwise.
Right.
And I don't know why you would want to constrain my practice of politics to only condemning East Indian people. In my writings, I've written against things that, or I have been critical of Kemraj Ramjatan. I've been critical of Moses Nagamutu. I've wrote critical pieces on David Granger. And every time I write, I always say, which is something I always preface my writing by saying, that I am not commenting, I will never comment on, and nor would I attach epithets to any one of those persons. I comment purely on the public assertions, association, public political practice. And you go through all my writings or anything I've ever said on any program, I've never referred to people using derogatory epithets, and I've never referred to people's personal life, their wife, their children, their husband, their whatever. Just what they practice in politics on a daily basis. I take that and try to critically analyze it from my point of view, or from a point of view that projects projects favorable views from the party I represent.
Yes, you saw a clip there just now. I was passing through my village. I saw a crowd, and they tell me President Ali was there at the street corner, and I said, "Well, you all get visitors all of a sudden." You heard President Ali refer to me as a nice Sunday school boy. The venerable Dr. David Hines. You heard that, right?
I think I heard that in one of the programs some time ago.
No, I'm talking about
I didn't even, to tell you the truth, I didn't even realize you were the person.
you heard your president, who you're rooting for second term, unprovoked, referred to me as a clown and a joker. Is that lewd? Is that profane? He's the president of the country. Did you condemn it? Did you call it racist? Did you would tell me you weren't aware of it, right?
I am saying to you,
yes,
that a few things.
Yes.
I didn't realize whose voice it was, and I didn't know to this day, or till you just mentioned it. I never knew. I saw that video once or twice, and I never knew who the president was referring to. At one point, I made a comment to somebody that probably his security got him angry. So I really didn't know, but I can say this, and you know, and you've seen my programs and so on that I've been on and so on. And I have no qualm in speaking my mind and being balanced in the process. I am saying to you, and I've written that in the Guyana Chronicle, that there are many times when the president could choose better words. I've written that in the Chronicle. And that is the what people refer to as the government's paper. And so you don't have to call me out on that.
No, I'm not calling you out. Do you think he was racist? Do you think he was racist?
If I am a part...
Do you think he was racist?
Dr. Hines.
You analyzed my words and you said I was bordering on racism. Here is an Indian.
No, I am not saying you were bordering on racism. I'm saying you dabbled in racism.
I dabbled in. Do you feel that the president dabbled in racism there?
By saying what?
By saying that I'm a clown and a joke. I'm an African leader. He's an Indian leader.
Yeah, but did he say that in the context of your race?
There you go. There you go. Why can't you give me the same analysis that you're giving him? He didn't say it in the context of my race. Nobody knows that. They're not in his head. I didn't go crying to the ERC. I slammed them back because that's my politics. But when I speak, you all run to the ARC and something. Anyhow,
Dr. Hines.
Yes.
And please allow me to call you David from time to time.
Yes,
we are good
partners.
You have called me and mentioned me by name.
Yes.
And I've never gone to the ERC. I don't believe in thin skin politics.
Right.
But you have to acknowledge that you have offended people of all races.
By telling black people that you all are wrong, you all are doing wrong. I've offended other races, right?
Dr. Hines, again I'm saying that may have been your desire, and that may have been your general gait or your general trajectory to which you wanted to direct your subject or your topic. But you lost when you went into the direction of personal attacks, name calling, and literally you're inviting another aspect of what you said. You were inviting people, literally inviting people to, I don't want to say, I want to be careful, but for the want of a better word, you are literally inviting people to attack these people who you address using those terms. And if you don't see that as being offensive, something is wrong, man.
But I am asking you, if you don't see what the president said about me or said to me as offensive, something is wrong with you. As equally, I'm losing.
No. You asked me if I see it as racism, and I'm saying I don't.
Do you see it as offensive?
I can see how it is offensive.
You can see how it is. Anyhow, Leno, I want you to listen to this in what I consider to be the first grown-up discussion of what I said. It happened last night on GlobeSpan. And I want you to listen to this, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Here we go.
Of minorities, you have to go out there to compete to get that 50 plus 1%. You're not, making it easier for the opposition to get to that point. So this all, in a sense, sounds like lunacy when you really put it all together and look at this historical era in which we're in.
This is a HELOC. It looks like a credit card, it works like a credit card, but it's actually an easier way for me to access the equity in my home. With an Avon card, I get an ultra-low interest rate, high spending limit, and cash back with every purchase.
Dr. Campbell, you want to comment on that?
Yeah. First, the topic was use and impact of racial rhetoric in Guyanese society. And the racial rhetoric goes way beyond the political sphere, but I noticed that we're kind of focused on the politics, I guess, because this is an election year. Just to build up on what I was saying and just to address some of the points that have been raised. And I don't think that this is dissimilar from the experience of any other ethnicity, but at least those of African descent have always had language or rhetoric to describe certain behavior. Here in the US, there's a phrase called coon, which is not dissimilar from the language that we find David has used. It may be a little more palatable, I don't know, but as I said, David's language was jarring. I do agree with Beto that as national leaders, and this dovetails with the point that Ravi made, that we're all minorities. As national leaders, we have to be careful with the language that we use. So an African leader, the question that Beto would ask himself as an Indo-Guyanese, which one of the, is there, let me phrase it another way. Is there an African, let's suppose Beto is an Indo-Guyanese who is unhappy with the current administration. Then he will ask himself, is there a leader from any of the other parties with whom I think can represent my interests? And I would rather say that the rational person would not necessarily say my interest as an Indo-Guyanese, but represent the interests of all Guyanese. And so national leaders have got to ensure that the language that they use is reassuring to all ethnicities. We have got to be very, very careful that whatever language they use it's reassuring to all ethnicities that you are going to look out for their interests. But I must go back again to the issue, and Vincent really said he understand. He kind of indicated like it was a singular example that David was referring to, and I don't think it was a singular example. And you have to forgive me because my training is business and insurance, and I look for the proximate cause. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Indo-Guyanese supporting. We have got to evolve to the point where Indo-Guyanese can support any party of their choice. The same thing for Afro-Guyanese and so on. But for me, the proximate cause that drove David to that statement, it was, and Beto referred to resources, it was the diabolical use of resources to attract African Guyanese to this current leadership. It is not as if David was not, I don't think he was singular in his reference, it was plural, but it was not of a class of people. It was maybe of just a few people whom he felt were being attracted by a diabolical use of resources. And that is an issue that I think we should not leave alone as we discuss language and racial rhetoric in our society. So I'll come back to the point, I'll summarize by saying that as national leaders, we must be careful in our language. Our language must reassure all ethnicities in Guyana that we will look out for their interests, right? It's important that national parties operate in this way. But I will take the time, I must take the time to criticize vehemently the diabolical use of state resources to attract different ethnicities to different parties, and it may reverse if there's another administration, they may do it. And that is what I will call out, because I think that's the proximate cause that led David to address a few individuals.
Leno, I have to say, I'm a scholar, among other things. And if you start off by saying what somebody says is racist, what somebody says is an outburst, it's emotional, you will come to your conclusions based on that. If you start out by saying, this man been in politics 50 years, he's a scholar, he understands race, he teaches race, he observes Guyana society, he has been fair to all races in his activism. And he says something here in which the language is a bit jarring, to quote Dr. Campbell. But because I think that he's rational and that he understands Guyanese politics, there must be something that is driving here, what he calls proximity. I'm making the point, is your starting point determines your conclusion. Dr. Campbell starts off by saying, Hines is making a larger point. Craig starts off by saying, Hines is being personal with me and a few people. And Campbell and Craig then arrives at two different conclusions. Anyhow, Craig, you've heard Campbell, your comments.
My comment is that one, Campbell has made an evaluation, and the evaluation that he has made, I see where he is going. I think he understands, like I do. What, again, I'm saying, there's an underlying message you are attempting to communicate, and as you have said in your own words, to Black people. And again, I am saying, as Campbell said, you quote him, I'm quoting him too. As national leaders, you have to be careful with the language you use, and your language that you use have to reassure everybody of all races, or people of all races have to come away feeling reassured. Your language were inflammatory. And again, I'm using this.
Campbell didn't say that. Campbell didn't say that.
No. I am saying
Campbell went on to say, what I have to call out is not language. What I have to call out is a diabolical use of state resources, which is the message, and which these black-faced people on this program and brown-faced people on this program understand. And the few of you are refusing to deal with that message and to deal with that disturbing presence. You know why the country has spent 3 weeks dealing with it? Because the country understands. Get past the language and get to the message which you are refusing to do, and which is frustrating the hell out of this audience.
Doc.
Yes.
If you want us to get past the language, you have to make atonement with the language. If you can't accept that your language was inflammatory and targeting to persons, then you have to make atonement with the language so that then we can deal with the message.
Craig, Craig, hold on. You're clearly not showing an understanding of political communication. I thought you did. You don't understand political communication, so we are not going to get far with this. Let's play another. But go ahead. I shouldn't stop you. Go ahead.
You and I both know.
Yes.
That they are language for courtroom. Their language for parliament. Yes. There's language for...
Dildo is language for parliament. Dildo. Look, You can't get dildo as parliamentary language.
No. Hold on.
Craig, you are not speaking to someone who is uninformed about.
No, I understand. No.
And you're not speaking to an audience that is uninformed.
There's
no language.
No.
For
Hold on.
There's no the party to which you are going. Stayed silent when one of its own said to one of its own. That man spoke an East Indian woman. You need dildo in parliament.
Yeah, no, slow down for me.
And you didn't call that diabolical. You didn't call that racist. You didn't call that inflammatory. I didn't see you in your column. It's a double standard I'm talking about.
When that incident occurred, I had no column, Doc.
But you had social media. You had thing. I didn't see you. I didn't see you calling it vile, hateful. And he was doing it to his fellow Indian woman.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't call it racist. I didn't think it was racist. I think it was sexist. I didn't think it was racist because he was speaking to somebody of his own race.
Mm.
In the National Assembly, he was not acting there as an individual. He was acting there as a lawmaker. And you and all the others who were telling me today about language said nothing. Jack Dio calls one of your former colleagues a woman low life. Low life. I didn't see you call it vile and bordering on racism. And he was talking to a woman of other race.
Doc, I think you're mixing some matters, you know.
I think I'm qualified to do that, Craig.
No. Let me say this one thing.
Yes.
Let me say this one thing. When you use inflammatory language that is not careful in the context of specifying people in a charged political environment, you are inviting harm to come to that person and things like that. If you, and again I'm saying, when you go to these personalized things, it takes away from whatever message that you want to use. What you need to do is to supply proof to the public of the term you are using, vulgar use of resources and what have you. But I still don't understand, what have you seen in my politics that I am the prime example?
I have not, and I said on this program, my audience can tell you, I do not believe you are knowingly a lick bottom. I do not believe that. I know you. I do not believe you are knowingly that.
No, but you use me as a prime example.
Yes, but I've qualified it. I do not believe you knowingly. I believe you are anyhow.
By so doing, you've opened me to a lot of personal attacks.
I have been called so many names. If the personal attack, I would be a dead man now. I'd be a dead man now. The names I've been called.
I am saying your activism and your militancy, you should not attempt to ascribe that to me. I might be a finger in the body, but I have a purpose.
Craig, you're being hypocritical. You're being hypocritical. You sit.
You're calling me names now. I'm saying.
No. Listen to me, Leno. You sit with a man every Monday and Wednesday. Mm-hmm. That man wrote in a column about the sex life of two national leaders.
Two who leaders?
Two national leaders. He wrote about his sex life a few weeks ago. I'm not going to call the name because I don't want to repeat it.
Good.
Let me finish. That man, those people have families. that are still alive. He accused those people of cheating on their in Ford, cheating on their spouses and all those kinds of things. He puts that in a column. In a column. And you sit with that man every Monday, Wednesday. I never heard you say at the beginning of the program, Freddie, I'm on this program with you, but that column you wrote there, that crossed the line. As you were telling me that I crossed the line.
When we, Doc, when we leave this show,
yes,
you send that column to me, and I would have no qualm in commenting on it. You are assuming that I see all the political programs and I read all the columns and I know of all the news. That is that assumption is a reach. Sometimes, for example, your program, I didn't sit and watch your program. Somebody who saw it, send the link, call me, say you got to see this, and I went to your program. Otherwise, I may not have never known that it existed. Sometimes I tune into your program. Sometimes I watch the entire program. Sometimes I watch part of it, move on to doing other things.
Right.
But you are assuming that I read every column. I read every news item. You know, none of us can do that.
Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this, and then we'll comment on the other side.
Everyone's talking about the salt trick that gets men rock hard. Does it really work? Well, let me tell you about my husband's experience when he...
This discussion is suggesting David is presenting himself nation. And my own view is that at least in recent times, David has presented himself as the mobilizer of the tribe rather than the mobilizer of votes or elections. Though the mobilization of the tribe may well be related to the mobilization of votes. One has to, in some regards, see David from that perspective, the mobilizer of a tribe and the tribe together. And in reference to Bond, one has to also recognize the language which Bond uses. Whenever Bond spoke, and I have heard interviews with Bond, the one with Burke, Bond didn't speak of himself, often spoke of we. So that Bond sought to project himself as a person who has made a personal decision on matters. There's someone who reflects how the we are thinking, how the we are doing. I think that in many regards, Davis was stripping Bond of his we, saying, no, this is not about me, it's about you and your disposition. In a society where, and I think Terence made this point, whilst we are seeking to particularize the rhetoric as political, I don't think that we could necessarily do that. Because the ethnic rhetoric has a depth beyond politics. And the fact of the matter is that while David may have engaged in this rhetoric on a platform that's national, if one were to look at social media, this rhetoric proliferates social media, and it's across the ethnic divides. Proliferation is across the ethnic divide. So that in some regards, this rhetoric is a representation of the problem that we have. So in that regard, I would say, yes, one has to, if one is a national leader, seek not to become involved in that manner. But this rhetoric is a representation of the national problem that we have. And it's not peculiar to David Hines, though David may have brought it to a certain level in terms of the audience. It's post social media, one will see that this rhetoric is in fact what is pervasive, and therefore it's an indication David is challenging him in that regard and saying, you're not speaking for my people. I think David will actually use those words, my people. You're speaking for yourself and people like you, not my people. I think that's a part of the contextualization of what we are confronted with. And so in many regards, I still contend that even if I don't embrace David's language, his language was more inward looking in terms of the ethnic group than outward looking, and was not necessarily a characterization of anyone else outside of the ethnic group, and more particularly a categorization of Bon. Now, I think we ought to bear in mind also that language is but one form of communication, and that David here has resorted to language, but that in Guyana, in terms of intra-ethnic communication, there are other things which are used, which probably are far more vital than any language that we have experienced in communicating inwardly to a group in an attempt to harness, in a sense, that group. And one cannot ignore that phenomenon in our society, that there are other forms of communication, vile and sometimes violent, which are used to the intra-ethnic exchange, harness the ethnic group.
Leno, you've heard Vincent there. Let me add Leno back. Leno, there we go. We have you there. You heard Vincent there, Leno. Any comments?
Again, I'm saying, Doc, the way how you preface this show and the comments you are showing, the proliferation of the comments of people who are defending you. And you must know that you would have defenders and detractors. You must know that. And the way in which they are framing that discussion, you are assuming, or you are imputing that I don't understand your message, and that the term Alexander used there just now, he said you are a mobilizer of the tribe. And I don't deny the fact, but you are also a presidential candidate. You are also a national leader. And I figure
Friend, you call me. You call me a friend.
Yeah, because yeah.
But tonight I'm a national leader, I'm a presidential candidate, and all of that. I'm all of that.
No. Hold on. Let me just continue.
Yes.
And I am also saying, if you put yourself up as a presidential candidate, I am sure the WPA, you need to say whether the WPA is interested in Indian votes, or you are the mobile. You can't be both, and that is what I'm saying. You can't be both. You can't be
both.
A mobilizer of your tribe,
right,
and then seek support from extra tribal areas.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
In the way you frame what you are attempting to bring to the national discourse, the way you frame it, you dabbled in racism. That is all I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't understand where you're coming from.
If Africans' homes are demolished, if African people are killed by the police because I'm a presidential candidate, I must ignore it. I mustn't speak to the tribe.
No, man,
because I'm a presidential candidate.
Man, you're being simplistic now, man.
No.
I said you shouldn't speak about it?
You said that I can't be both. All my life I've been both. All my life, and that's what makes me different. That's what makes my kind different. Is that we are not trading, as Professor Thomas would say, we're not trading bread for justice, or we're not trading justice for bread. We want bread and we want justice. I'm not trading my representation of the tribe for votes. That is what his name is saying. That's my politics.
All right. If you'd allow me to ask a simple question.
Yes.
In your activism.
Yes.
And in my activism. Why do you think I should not comment on...
You're breaking up.
I should not comment negatively on the politics of African leaders.
No, I never said that. I never said. I heard you with it, and I don't know. I comment negatively on all governments, all leaders.
But that is not what you said in your presentation.
I did not say.
I made a comment.
I did not say.
I made a comment about the electability of Aubrey Norton.
Thank you very much. On that because that electability of Aubrey Norton, I listen you and others on it. It's not grounded in anything that had to do with his race and class. He's a black-skinned boy, a black-skinned working class boy. I know Guyana. And I know the origins of that electability. Because if a middle-class person goes to Bam Bam Alley, they'll be seen as a man of the people. A black middle-class person will be seen as a man of the people. A black working class person goes to Bam Bam Alley.
That is your interpretation. I have not.
It is the correct interpretation.
I have not said that.
That's the origin of your critique. Leno, you sat on that program. And twice you discussed presidential candidate. You never called my name. And you know, hold on. Of course, you forget. But you know why you forget? I'm a fringe. I'm a nuisance. You don't remember nuisance. Right? I understand it. I know my country. Twice, you all sit on there discussing presidential candidates. Never call my name. Later on, you call me a fringe. You make the connection. You forget me because I'm a fringe. I'm a nuisance. And I know, or look, Leonard, there's what you call conscious prejudice and unconscious prejudice. You are guilty of unconscious prejudice. I do not believe you are a conscious prejudice person. Unconscious prejudice. You remember every other presidential candidate. Twice. You didn't remember me. And I know you are suffering from dementia. But because in your mind I'm a fringe, I'm a nuisance, I'm driven by fear, and so on, you forget me. I'm easy to forget. I understand that. I know Guyana. And the reason I defend Norton is that I'm critical of Norton. The people on this program can tell you. But what I do defend Norton on is this nonsense about electability. The man that you are saying you are going to for second term, he's not half as bright as Norton. He's not. He's not. Let me finish. Let me finish. He doesn't have half the political experience of Norton. But you feel he's electable, but Norton's not electable. If that man who can barely form a sentence, you find him electable, but you don't find Norton electable. What are you talking about, Craig?
All right. I realize that you passionate about what you're saying and all of that, but you are comparing persons. I have never referred to Norton as not being electable. I am saying that what I said on that program is that for the 2025 election, because Norton does not have his politics together and his people together, that it is not likely in any political evaluation, any political scenario, he is not likely to win the 2025 election because of these things. And I listed the things I'm talking about, and it has nothing to do with Norton personally, whether he is brown, black, blue. I listed the things. I said he doesn't have all the PNC people behind him. A lot of the stalwarts of the PNC have gone quiet. Some of them have declared in public, as long as Norton is leader, they are not going to give their full support. And I'm saying because of those things, he is going to have a problem being elected for 2025. And not that Norton is not electable because he goes to Bamba Mali or because he goes there or what have you. I mean, you are misrepresenting the position I've taken and the explanation I've given from my point in analyzing how I come to the conclusion. I also came to the conclusion that Irfan Ali stands a better chance to be elected because in Irfan's party, there's greater unity among the leadership. Even when they fight, they pull the curtains and then they come to the front and smile. At least they're unified on that. You don't hear in the press and in the public and on social media that Norton is this, Norton is that, Irfan is this, Irfan is that. Whether you have a way, are you referring it to trading your votes for bread or whatever it is, that it would be your term, but you are not giving account for whatever it is, whatever is your term. You said vulgar use of resources, whatever. Irfan Ali is reaching out to people of African origin in Guyana in a way that PPP has not done, probably at no time at all other than in the time of the formation of the PPP with Forbes and Cherry. And I don't think what the reaching out Irfan is doing by whatever means is unprecedented in when you look through the political history of Guyana. All right? It had not happened before, maybe because there's a lot of resources from oil now and all of that and all of that. You were referring to it as buying votes and all of that. But which political party anywhere in the world that doesn't buy votes and want to stay in power? And buying votes doesn't necessarily mean, I don't mean, and I will not sanction you walking down the road and say, here now, come vote for we are going to give you this money. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about using the resources you have to make yourself appear politically attractive. And it would be senseless for you to have power and the resources of the state and not make some overtures to people who are traditionally not voting for you or not your support base. It would be and probably that might be one of the reasons why your preferred group of leaders are not in power today, because they didn't understand that most basic political concept. You teach politics, and you should understand that political concept. And if the other people, by whatever means, got into power and fighting to stay in power, that is politics. And their practice of politics, in that way, in that sense, is superior to how Granger practiced politics. In that specific sense, is superior to how Granger practiced politics. You can point to a lot of things that Granger would have been better at or whatever. I'm not speaking about the specifics. I'm talking about using the awesome power of the state as a party in power to make yourself appear attractive to people who do not traditionally vote for you.
So you're not using the awesome power of the state to give them better wages. You're not using the awesome power of the state to give them equitable access to the resources. You're not using the awesome power of the state to carry out the mandate of the United Nations for the decade of people of African descent. You're using the awesome power of the state to make yourself attractive to them. Leonard Craig, Leonard Craig, you are much brighter. You are much brighter, boy, than you're coming over here. And the reason your brightness are coming through it tonight, because you're propagandizing for the people.
David, hold on for me.
You are saying that hold on. I listen to you. I listen to you. I listen to you.
And then we can't talk about everything. You can't just start a topic, blow it open, and that. But if you want us to talk specifically about how the state, and again I'm saying, as I started by saying, the overtures the PPP is making to Afro-Guyanese now is unprecedented, in my opinion, than any other time in the history of the PPP other than in its founding.
I agree with you, because those overtures are immoral. Dr. Jagger never did it that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you have resources and you cannot give people who don't vote for you in wages, you can't give them in wages. You can't. No, you're not giving them. Hold on. You asked me to talk. I'm talking. You're not giving them in wages as you should. You're not giving them in resources via law as you should. You are going to them and say, look how nice I am. Come to me and I would give you the resource. I'm not going to give you in wages. When I sit down, I'm not talking to your unions. I'm not talking to your leaders. I am not giving you it through the National Assembly. I am coming to you and say, look me there, me nice. Look the money. And And
But
you,
that is
Leonard
not
Craig,
accurate, man.
you are justifying that. You're a brighter boy than that, Leno. And that is the point I'm making. When people cross
Dr.
ethnic,
Hines, you're
hold on. When
depicting,
people
you're
cross
depicting.
ethnic divide, they engage in the kind of politics you're engaging in. Let me tell you, Leno, I am sure you called people soup drinkers when you were in the AFC.
Never.
I am sure.
Never.
You may not do it publicly. You may not even, you're a Christian boy, but
Never.
I am sure you condemn people who left and went over.
That is something I've never done.
Anyhow, Leno.
I may have evaluated people negatively based on a group of things.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Or whatever.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So at the point I'm making, you are saying that this
negatively evaluated people just because they cross into another party. Because I was a member of the AFC that benefited more than any other party these last 15 years from people who left other parties and came into the AFC. So if somebody moved from one party to the next, I made it my duty not to make that an issue.
Right. You ever tell comrades all your ass is profane?
Yes, many times.
You ever do it publicly?
Many times.
You ever write it publicly?
No, but if I'm a member of Comrade's party, I can't write that publicly, Dr. Hines, but I have a forum to talk to him personally.
Man, you're engaging in double standards, man. You can't do that. And this is the point. In ethnic studies, we understand, we study that people who go over tend to be more aggressive in terms of perpetuating the ideological frames of those to whom they have gone over to. And you are doing exactly everything that you have condemned me for. It's there in your face in the PPP. And I've never heard you gone public. I'm still to hear you go public on it. And I'm saying,
Dr. Hines,
that's double standards.
Dr. Hines.
Yeah.
The opposite of what you're saying, or the converse of what you're saying, is also true. Those of us who cross over are subject of lots of unfair and aggressive attacks.
I would be the first to stop.
In the same way as you are saying. In other words, what you're saying, that some people who cross over try to overcompensate in a way, and I understand what you're trying to say, that you're trying to impress somebody.
Yeah.
By showing I am like this, or I am for you.
Yeah.
The converse is also true. You are subject, even if you won't say a word, you are subject to some unfair and vicious attacks.
I agree with you.
I agree with you. It goes both ways.
Yes, but when you make an analysis, make your analysis like that.
Also,
don't put it one side.
But Doc, man, you read my pieces and you see that my analysis slide both ways. But I cannot, and you know this, I cannot be a member or associated with a group and have an internal forum to deal with matters and then run in the public and do it. You know that, man. Come on, you teach politics. When I was with the AFC, AFC made many mistakes, but I had an internal forum, and one of these days I will show you several emails, whether I'm in or out of Guyana, where I aggressively confronted leaders inside of the AFC. And that is what I do. That is who I am. That is how I practice my politics. But when I was there, all the mistakes AFC made, you didn't hear me run in public. But ask Ramjatan when you see him. If several times I've not confronted him on that hall your ass statement that he made so often, I've done that. Let me just give you an example about being in the PPP of today, for which I cannot apologize to you or any of your viewers for being associating with the party I choose. But let me tell you this. For example, I have WhatsApp and email addresses for several top leaders in the PPP. And when I heard of the Quindon Bacchus, there was a decision to appeal the amount of money the Quindon Bacchus family would receive. Immediately, as soon as that hit the press and I heard it, I sent out text messages and say, I don't know what, I can't tell you what effect that had on those leaders. But I did what I needed to do internally to say, no, this shouldn't happen. And I list my reasons, and it had some amount of description of racial politics, of race relations, I should say, not racial politics, race relations. Subsequently, a few days later, it was reversed. I'm not going to be so facetious to come here to tell you that because I said that, that is why this thing, but I am saying to you, I did my part internally in saying and representing that cause, because I know, one, it is not good politics. Two, it is not good optics. Three, it is not good race relations and all those kinds of things. But you can't expect me, Dr. Hines, you know politics, you can't expect me to come out in the public and shout down the appeal. And let me say this to you. Secondly, I have spoken to an African lawyer of good repute in Guyana, of good standing and well respected, about the Quindon Bacchus appeal. And you know what he said to me? That there are good legal grounds for the appeal, that you can point to legal errors. You may not win in the Court of Appeal, but you can point to legal errors in arriving at that. And this is a nationally known Black lawyer who is saying this to me, and he has no love whatsoever for the PPP. And I am saying to you what I have said to those leaders. Yes, you might got a legal reason to appeal, but a political and a race relation type of reason, you got to throw that legal logic out the door. And I've said that to those leaders. And I have that in black and white on my WhatsApp and email. And so when you come to the public and you are acting as if, I am sure you don't know, but it's dangerous in classifying all people who cross over as not having care for race relations and the Africanness and the relation between the government and people of African descent in Guyana. That would be misleading.
Leonard Martin Carter said the mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. David Hines, if you were in your position, God forbid, if I cross over to the PPP, I will talk to them privately, but I will also talk to them publicly. Black people,
but that is your activism on me.
That's my point. That's precisely my point. I'm not pinning that on you.
Okay.
I am saying that there is a praxis. Your private communication with the powers that be doesn't assure Black people. They don't know that. They are assured when you publicly say, no, doing that would be wrong to these people. That's how they're reassured, not by your private communication, right? I'm not saying private communication is wrong. You must communicate private and think. I was fired twice by the APNU, AFC government. You know what? For telling them they're private, they're wrong. privately, but I knew that wasn't enough. For telling them that they're wrong publicly. They fired me twice. I was prepared to pay that price. Because I know telling people that, oh, David Hines did it privately doesn't reassure sugar workers that David Hines stood on their side. Of course, today they say David Hines never spoke out when thing, you know. I did it privately and publicly. All right? And I lose 2 jobs under the coalition. That is the price you must pay for your conviction. The mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. I did not allow the salary from the job to muzzle me. I said it publicly knowing that they will take back the job. As my elder Kwayana said, the Lord give it and the Lord take it away.
Again, I'm saying you are equating 2 unequals. One equal is that you're part of the coalition, but not necessarily is a multi-party coalition, and coalitions do that in the practice of politics all the time. But if I am part of the party itself,
you just come. You so part of this thing. You just come.
No, I'm referring to when I was with the AFC.
Oh, okay, but I'm not talking about the AFC.
And that is
I'm talking about
my practice. No, but that is where the practice of my politics developed, and that helped to shape me in who I am today.
Craig,
and you are expecting a complete change or about turn in my practice of politics just because I'm now with a party you don't like.
No.
But that is the way I practice my politics. Let anybody tell you. There are a lot of people in the AFC, let them tell you how vehement I was in opposing a lot of things they did.
Craig.
Vehement, Dr. Hines.
Craig, you know, top PPP people call me and say, these black boys that coming over, trouble gonna be, you know, because PPP members saying, are you bringing in these boys and are you giving them this and giving them, are we there behind you all the time? Are you aware of that critique among PPP people?
But the critique yes, I'm aware. The
Thank you very much.
Existed in the AFC when I was there.
No, I am telling you. Yes, I know, but I'm telling you.
Again, I'm saying I don't dabble in that politics because I experienced it in the AFC.
But the point I am making,
more than any other party.
The point I am making, Fred, the critique of people who cross over and are prepared to go and catch their own people and sell them. It works both ways. The PPP supporters are saying if they can do that to their own people, what they're not going to do to we. There's a critique of that type. You may knowingly be part of that type, you may not knowingly be part of it. But there is an African critique of it, and there's an Indian critique of it. There's an Indian critique of you guys who have crossed over and are willing, not you. As I said on this program, I don't think you knowingly are that type, right? People who cross over and want to be more PPP than PPP, want to be more Indian than Indian, who are prepared to talk down their own race. Indian people are saying, we can't trust you. I hope you all know of that critique. You all are hearing the critique coming from African side. You all are not hearing the critique coming from the Indian side. All right? I'm just letting you understand this thing is much more complex than you all are making it to me. The reason I played the clip by Terence Campbell and Vincent, not because they're defending me, but because they are grappling with the larger message that I'm raising, which is what I wanted the country to do. As a political person, I knew what I was doing. It wasn't all bars. It was calculated from language to tone, everything. Because in political communication, you have capital, you spend it. and I spent my capital. I knew what I was doing.
Calculated to insult me.
No. Number one, brother, know you know better than that. Man. You know better than that. When you call me a fringe, I didn't take it as an insult. You tell me I'm a racist. I understand. As I said, when you forget me 2 times as a presidential candidate, I know it's not dementia. I know it comes from a place where you all don't take people like me serious. You all think that I'm a troublemaker, I'm a fringe, nobody will take me serious. And then the thing blow up because black people take me serious. And so you all are saying to black people, but you racist, all you, they know what racism is, eh? You know that black people know what racism is. Anybody know what racism is them because they've lived it for 400 years. I can't tell them what racism is. They know that me scolding another black man is not racism. They know that. They don't have to go to university to know that. They know that. They know that.
One last thing though, Dr.
Yes.
Haynes, because I realize I'm looking at the time and realize you're coming to program time. In fact, we passed program time.
We passed program time, yes.
But
the numbers still there, you know, big numbers.
Let me say this one thing.
1900 you get tonight live.
Let me say this one thing.
Yeah.
Just as much as you are vehement in your opposition when things go not according to your wishes in your tribe or with your tribe.
Yeah. Your tribe too.
Sometimes it's okay to acknowledge the little effort is being made. And also acknowledge that Rome is not built in a day.
Right.
And you need to acknowledge that, as I said earlier, not all of us could frame our activism in the same way. You play the clip with the Mocha people. You play the clip with Roysdale Ford saying he's going to court. They went to court and the judge made a decision, and the president has said, despite the judge's decision, you are coming, let us talk. You are a citizen, I'm a president of the country in which you are a citizen. Come in and let's talk. We were trying to talk to you earlier. We believe you were misled about the legal grounds you have. But despite all of that, just come in and let's talk. And that is a good starting point in making, in reaching out to the people of Mocha. The other aspect of the Mocha issue is that the 4 families who did not accept that offer and went to court and so on, they were 20-something families. And 18 families accepted, or whatever that number is, 20-something and only 4 thing. 18 families accepted, were resettled on land and all of that provided by the government, some money, some housing, what have you. So you are presenting the aspect of the picture that paints your narrative, but there's also another narrative to it that is, you know, at least mentioned in passing. For me, right, I see that as effort being made. And again, I'm saying, as I said earlier in the program, that the effort that is being made now is unprecedented in the history of the PPP, other than during the time of its founding. And I sincerely believe that.
Leno, I'll tell you 2 stories. Years ago, I think it was 2002, a PPP member, an African PPP member, arranged for me to meet the then president. I met the president in his office. It was during the time of the troubles in Buxton. And I made the point that I was only going to meet the president to talk about Buxton and the needs of Buxton. I went, I met the president, we talked about the needs of Buxton, the education needs, employment, and so on. And he put some proposals to me, which I accepted, and we agreed that, look, we're going to do this. As you're going to do it as a government. At the end of the discussion, the president said to me, I want to ask you a favor. I want you and Mr. Kwayana to talk to the gunmen in Buxton and tell them to stop what they're doing. I said, Mr. President, I came here not to ask you a personal favor. I came here as head of state. You said you wanted to talk to me. I came here. We agreed that as the government, this is what you're going to do. No quid pro quo. The minute you are going to tell me that in return, I have to do this, that's it. I'm out of here. That's it. I tell you that story. That's one story. The second story, a government minister came to Buxton and she said, there are some things that we can distribute to the village, uniform, and we got some other things we can distribute. The young people she was talking to, they said, wait, we can't make a decision. We got to get a village leader. They called me out. I ran out. I went up to Buxton, and the first thing I asked the minister, are you here in the capacity as a PPP leader or as a member of government? It was a she. She paused. She said, I'm here as an emissary of the president. I said, you have answered my question. Are you here as government or PPP? And if you're here as PPP, no sabi. No sabi. If you're here as government, you have to satisfy us that you're here as government, that you're not bringing whatever it is you bring in exchange for anything. I'm saying that, look, there are ways and means of dealing. A government has a responsibility to all its citizens. What the president is doing now, he should have done in the beginning. If 8 people are holding out, there is conflict between what you say, order and freedom. Those people have the freedom to hold out. The government has order to kick them off. Whenever there's a conflict between freedom and order, force must be a last resort. You must reason with your people because it's unequal force. You have the force of the police and the army. All they have is their bodies. And you are using the force against them. It goes to court. The court rules against them. You are coming now like a godfather. When you bulldoze them, you do not bulldoze. Let me finish.
You're missing.
Let me finish. I am not missing no important.
I don't want to defend any of those.
When you bulldoze people, you hurt them, and then come and say, I care, go to hell. You don't hurt people, and then come and tell them you care. You must care up front. Let me hear you now.
Yeah, but there was negotiations opened up front. That is why
I am saying
families or whatever number of families could have accepted, because there was a proposal on the table.
Well, they didn't.
Discussion
well, they didn't. And you beat them, broke up their livelihood, they bulldozed them, and then now you come in and tell them you love them.
I hear what you're saying. I am not here. I think the people who took those decisions need to explain their decisions. I am not here to explain their decision. All I am saying that sometimes there are other stories behind the ones that you are bringing forward, and it is good to acknowledge that, you know, there are other nuances in the entire process of politics and race relations in Guyana. And those nuances, you are only presenting the narratives that fit your clarion call to your tribe. And I understand that.
Not my car, my tribe.
But if somebody else has counterfactuals, you cannot then attach names to them because they are presenting counterfactuals and you believe instead they should be marching with you and your tribe.
No, Leno. If you want to abandon the tribe, it's your choice. But deal with the consequences. Deal with the consequences.
And the consequences is you coming on the attack by using those names.
No. You should read.
That's one of the consequences.
You should read the comments on this blog here. You got nobody attack me. Let me tell you something, Leno. I said on this program, and you quote it on your program. I said, I know there are disagreements here with Nigel. There are disagreements with Aubrey among the tribe. And I said to them every night here, disagree with Aubrey, disagree with Nigel, but don't cuss them. All right? In your case, I said disagree with you. Do not cuss you. But if you cuss them, license to cuss you back.
Yeah, but point to any of my writings or any of my program where I cuss anybody.
Yes, Leno, you tell them black people now get scarf off their eyes. They come out of slavery with one scarf over their eye, never to be enslaved again. And you are seeing people coming to them, trying to enslave them and call it taking scarf off their eye. Do you know anything about black history and black culture and black instinct to tell black people who are fighting to retain their dignity that take the scarf off your eye, accept 2 million? That is what they're worth.
Again, you're misrepresenting. You're misrepresenting, man. You turn in things that people say. That you talking about the article I wrote sometime last year.
Of course, I read everything. You're all right.
Yeah, you talking about an article I wrote last year.
Yes.
And I was referring to something specific, not to general scarf off your eye from coming out of slavery. Come on, man. You're misrepresenting.
But Leno, this is what I'm saying. You are talking to black people who have a particular historical memory. Bob Marley says, somebody's saying Bob Marley's thick necked fool. Bob Marley said, every time I hear the crack of a whip, my blood runs cold. Every time these people hear that kind of rhetoric about scarf off the eye, they understand what the origins of it. You may not understand the origins of it, or you may pretend not to understand the origins of it, but they understand it. They understand it when you're telling them that people who are trying to ride them, that they are going, oh, black people will vote for President Ali who bulldozed the house. Black people will vote for President Ali under whose government
let me
the children. What are you saying?
Because you're misrepresenting what I say, let me just go quickly. All I said is that they are a group of black people in Guyana which do not see the PNC as their, or do not look to the PNC for their leadership.
Like me, I belong to the group too. I'm not in the
young
PNC.
People.
Yes,
there are some young people who have voted 3-4 times and have never voted for the PNC.
Yes, I know.
Yes. Now that the AFC is weakened,
yes,
and a lot of support has dropped off.
Yes.
These people have become political nomads.
Yes,
and some of them are finding the PPP attractive.
The people who bulldoze their sister's house.
No, but
the people who killed their brother at Golden Grove.
No, I am
talking. They find solace there. You're going to sleep with people who kill your people. But you either believe black people ignorant and stupid.
No, but you don't see that. I am telling you that a lot of the African people
which a lot?
There are several Afro-Guyanese
there's several,
who have
yes.
left the AFC,
yes,
and have gone to the PPP.
Yeah, there's several, not a lot.
A few have gone to the PNC as well.
Right.
But
yes.
all I'm saying, and I said in that writing last year, is that because of their history of voting, and they come up in a time when they have not known of comrade leader politics. The AFC have never given anybody comrade leader politics. And so they do not find natural affection in any comrade leader. And so, of the falling off of support from the AFC, they become nomadic with respect to politics, not nomads in their life.
Right. So they left their own tribal comrade leader and they put to somebody else comrade leader.
Some of them found the PPP attractive.
Yes, they gone to the PPP comrade leader. You are making my point.
But
they're leaving their own comrade leader and going to somebody else comrade leader. What is in it for them?
My comment was,
what is in it for them?
That is the way Guyanese politics have evolved.
No, that is not the way Guyanese politics have evolved. You are wrong about that.
No, but that is what it has come to.
No, Leno. No, Leno.
No, you're in denial, Doc.
I'm not in denial. I have studied politics and I've participated in it. And those black people on the ground who telling you all they're going to vote, they concoct you all. And here's the thing. Jack Dio and Orphan. I don't know too much about Orphan. But you think Jack Dio going to gamble his political future on black people? You know better than that. You know better. There is no way the PPP will gamble on their political future depending on black people. And there is no way the PNC will gamble their political future on Indians. They know better. And you all have to lift your analysis. People may express dissatisfaction with the coalition. As you know, you did, I did, right? I agree with you that the coalition did not understand race politics, that there is a way to satisfy your supporters without alienating other supporters. There's a balance, right? And what they did is they tried not to alienate. And the end ended up without corn or husk. Because the sugar thing, they end up alienating Indians. And by not putting more money into wages for teachers and nurses and others, they end up alienating Africans. I agree with you on that. On that, they didn't understand it in the way the PPP. My problem with the PPP is not steering resources to their supporters, is discriminating against others to give to your supporters. That is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. If people vote for you, you must give them. But you must give other people, not by going to them in the village according to you and say, look how I'm nice. Give them it through the legal.
Not according to me, I didn't say that, right? That is your interpretation, right?
Well, you know, I have a way with language, you know. I study political science, but my real thing, ask any of them boy and girl that I go to school with, literature. Literature was always my first love when I go to school.
Anyway,
and language.
As you would imagine, I have other.
Yes. So I'm glad you came on and you spoke for yourself, and the audience will make the verdict. I'm going to send you Freddie article in which he, man, Leno, go and look at it. You know, go and look it. Go and look it.
Send me at least the title so I can look at it. Because I may not have seen.
Freddie's your friend and my friend, you know, but
Doc, is Freddie introduced me to you.
That's right.
And you know that.
Yeah, exactly. He's my friend. But I'm saying there's nobody more lewd in politics than that chap. You know, Freddie has a penchant for gossip politics. Gossip politics. You tell Freddie something in private, if it finds itself in his column.
No,
you
but
know,
before you go,
you're not into that. I'm not into that.
Yeah. Okay. You've said it. I was just about to ask you if that is how you view me.
No, never.
But that settles it for me.
Yeah, never.
But Doc, one last thing. You feel justified in attaching the labels you've used to me? You feel justified in attaching it to me?
No. As a person, no. I've said that. I said that to you privately, and I said it on this program. I do not believe that you knowingly represent those labels. But I think unknowingly. Yes, there is such a thing in race politics. We call it unconscious racism. All right? I always
earlier when I spoke of some Africans who may do certain things unknowingly, you said I'm insulting people and all of that. To say that these people don't understand, and you're not giving me that benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Telling me unknowingly.
Yeah. But
I can't make political calculations and
you are making it of the mass. You are saying that any thinking person, and the overwhelming majority of Africans are standing with me. And you are saying the overwhelming majority of Africans are not thinking people. That's loaded. You want to be very careful. You're telling me about careful, you want to be very, that's racism. That's racism because you're essentializing the majority. I am saying you as an individual, I do not think that you are a knowingly lick bottom. I can't come to that conclusion, and you said I've known you over a decade. But I'm saying that you are in bed with lick bottoms. And when you go to crab dance, your skin gonna get mud.
We need to go because you realize that there is no reconciling of our views, right?
Right.
We agree on very few things.
Yes,
and there's no sense continuing. I've said my piece, you have said yours. There is no agree to disagree or any such thing. We are at polar opposites on some of these issues.
We are all polar opposite. We're opposite. We're polar already. You gone so far. We're polar opposite. I don't think we're polar opposite.
No, you're ceasing on minutia. You're ceasing on minutia. And when you do that, it becomes unfair.
All right.
In your evaluation.
Leonard Craig here tonight. You all have had a mouthful. I hope that Leno might have been able to soothe some of you. I tried my best. I'm sure Leno tried his best. But as I always say on this program, at the end of the day, we're all Guyanese. And as I did with James, I did with Leno. Come on, talk your story. All right, whether we agree with you or don't agree with you, you've laid your story out. That's it, my brother. Any closing thoughts?
No, not really. Just suffice it to say that I just want the young people out there to be true to themselves, be true to what you believe in. And sometimes evaluations such as this may come your way. It doesn't mean that your stock in trade must then become hate. My stock in trade is not hate. So despite you, I will call it a call out and a label, despite you called me out and labeled me, I don't hate David. I still see you as a person with whom I can hold discussion on the national politics. I think you made a mistake, but that is not the end of thing, and that doesn't mean there can't be discussions that can benefit the public between us. And I'd like young people to understand that politics has got to, if you intend to go into politics, you've got to be, you can't be petty.
Thank you very much.
You can't be petty.
Okay,
a lot of people would advise me against coming and sitting on your show and talking with you because of what you said. But, you know, I would be part of defending what I choose, the route I choose to walk, and the party I choose to be with. I am ready to represent it at all times.
Thank you very much. Leonard Craig here, former member of the Alliance for Change. Now, are you got a party card, or you?
No, I am just associating with the PPP.
So you left the door.
I am in a look around and see, still in a look around and see mode. I'm still observing. But it is the party I support right now.
The party you support. So there's still hope for you. You can still come back over.
That is what you are saying, right? I have not said that.
There's still hope. I'm sure the AFC still got a seat waiting there for you. Despite that press statement that that they put out. Leonard Craig, nice guy, and I still believe that. Thank you for coming on, my brother. And to you, the audience, thank you all so much for staying. We break a record, 1 hour and 40 minutes. 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you all stay right through. I know it was a stretch for you all, but sometimes we have to have these kinds of programs. See you all tomorrow night for another edition of Politics 101 on a Friday night, tomorrow night.